In this video, I'm just going to finishing off looking at the magic grid. In the last one, we saw how there weren't many 9s in the 1 to 8 times table, grid of table there. But when we looked at it on a more micro level, that in fact it was 9s everywhere. So we already mentioned that there were the pairs, the 1 and the 8, which form a sequence of numerical numbers 1 to 8 or 9 in numerical order, whereas the 8 was the reverse. I mean, somewhere you can see why I'm also now not really looking at the 9 times table, because to have the sequence 1 to 9 doesn't work because there's no 9 here, at least not at this stage. But right now we don't have a 9 here, so this is 8 through till 1. Eventually at some stage during the process of decoding the teaching, we will discover that we can also have a 9 here at some point, but that's further down the road. So the 1 to 8 is mirrored here in the 8 to 1. The 7, 5, 3, 1, 8, 6, 4, 2 here is mirrored on the 2 times table in the opposite direction, and then the 4 and 5 are a mirror of each other, and the 3 and the 6 are also a mirror of each other. So we mentioned in the last lecture there was pairs quickly, 1 and 8, 2 and 7, 3 and 6, 4 and 5, all numbers that add together to give us the 9. So although there is this mirroring, in fact the actual axis of symmetry runs on a diagonal. And it's a kind of interesting axis of symmetry for me in some way, because like if we fold that over, again ignoring the 9s for now, because also I want to say like the 8 would flip back onto the 8 with the 2 7s, the 6s, the 5s, the 8, the 7, the 6s, the 5s. So you can see that that's an axis of symmetry, but the axis of symmetry splits this set of squares in 2. So that's why it's quite a particular axis of symmetry. There is also a second axis of symmetry, and so on the 1 to 8 times table, they're the axes of symmetry. So there was something else that I wanted to know when I was looking at this, and one of the first things I did was to calculate what the sum of the whole box was. When you do the total sum for the magic grid, you get 306. So, but we know that we've already seen that it's 9s everywhere, so it makes sense that this would be a multiple of 9. Freeze frame while I just think about what that multiple is. So and that is 34 times 9. But also it is interesting that the actual result is given with the 3 and the 6. So that's the total. But I was also curious about the fact that we still had these 9s here. And as we've also mentioned already, there's the hashtag sort of symbol of the 3 and 6s where they run through. And I then decided that this to me seemed to be an inner box. So I was looking at that and feeling that this was an inner box different to the others, with your 639, 369, 639 running around the outside, making a box with your 7 and your 2s in the middle. And so I then calculated what the inner box was. I added up all those numbers, and the inner box comes to 90. Obviously feels significant. But there's another element of significance, because when we take the total of the inner box from the outer box, so then we can find out what the outer set is, we take 306 minus 90 gives us 216. For those who are following the book, the number of human years that we are destined to live in plane number 11, as a reminder, is 9,216. There are also other ways of calculating, like if, for example, I was to calculate the outer perimeter here, I can tell you right now that the outer perimeter comes to 126, which is 9. If I was to take the inner set here, from memory, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's 90, possibly 72. If we take the next cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 8 nines, which is, that one's 72. And then the inner box is 18 with just 7, 2 and 7 and 2. So again, you know, these are all equaling 9, 9, 9, 9 as the root numbers when we add them up. So once again, I'm just simply pointing out again that it's all made up of nines when we break it down. And then, for example, if I was to add up the hashtag itself, the hashtags of 3, 6 and 9s, that's all the rows of 3, 6 and 9. If I was to add those up, that also equals 144, which is, as we'll see much later on down the road, that's also a really key figure in a lot of the decoding, a lot of the teaching that comes out of this. So just before we wrap this video up, actually, there's one more element that I want to point out, which whilst might not appear particularly important at this point, it becomes something that's really important in the overall global teaching that we're talking about. So what is that? So there are actually 3, how do you call it, like organic number groups, if you like. What does that mean? Well, we've already established that 3, 6 and 9 are appearing together in these lines, and they are one of the number groupings. And then if we look along this diagonal, this repeats itself. There's a 1, 4, 9, 7, 7, 9, 4, 1, 9. And we can also take the assumption that the fact that there's 4 number 9s on this whole number grid, and that these diagonals are both the points of symmetry and also have the 2 9s sort of running through them, if you like. There's 2 numbers in the 9, 2 numbers in the 9, 2 numbers. Same in the other direction. And those number sequences are 1, 4, 9, 7, 7, 9, 4, 1. And in the opposite direction, I'm just going to do it underneath here, but 8, 5, 9, 2, 2, 9, 5, 8. So they're the 2 series of diagonals. And the other 2 organic number groupings, if you like, is the 1, the 4 and the 7, and the 2, the 5 and the 8. This is the more masculine, the yang numbers. This is the more feminine, the yin numbers. These guys are a bit more rounded and shapely. And this is relating more to the emotional body. The 147 is a bit more straight lines and crossed lines and crosses, and relates more to the physical, energetic bodies. And so this video patched with the first video on the magic numbers, between the two, that's a pretty good introduction that we've got there to the magic number grid. So thanks for watching.